And I hate to say it, but the cure for addiction, the only cure I've seen, the cure for addiction is suffering. You suffer enough that something inside you goes, I'm done.
I completely respect Ben Affleck's perspective that he needed to suffer in order to finally overcome alcohol addiction. I think that can be true for a lot of people, but I don't think it's a blanket statement that is a recipe for everyone who suffers with an alcohol addiction. I don't think everyone has to hit a horrible rock bottom and be in such a terrible place that they're just finally fed up with drinking, especially when we have treatments that are talked about, like in this book, The Cure for Alcoholism, using medication and protocols that actually work neurologically to reverse alcohol addiction from the brain. I think the danger with telling people that they need to suffer and hit a rock bottom to overcome alcohol addiction, which is really society's message anywhere you go, is that it causes people to stay stuck in the addiction for much longer. You know, I know for me, I would think I was at my rock bottom and think, this is it, I'm never going to drink again. But then I would do something even worse, or life would get even worse. And I remember right before I learned about the Sinclair Method, I was praying for a rock bottom. Like, maybe if I get cancer, or if my health suffers, or if I get a DUI, maybe if life gets bad enough, then finally I'll be able to give up drinking. But that is a really risky perspective, because for many people, they end up drinking themselves to death. So even death for some people isn't bad enough to motivate them to quit drinking. And of course, this all has to do with how alcohol addiction essentially hijacks the brain, and it's no longer something that's within our logic and reason and control. So even though we sincerely want to get this problem under control, for many of us, the part of our brain that is impacted by the addiction, it's a very powerful primitive part that is actually mistakenly equating alcohol to a survival need. So no matter how much, our real selves want to get this problem under control, the compulsion to drink is so overwhelming and so powerful that oftentimes many people will sacrifice their health, family, safety, career, all of these things just to be able to drink. And again, that's because alcohol addiction is not a logical issue. I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me over the last 6 years telling me that they've been in and out of treatments or in and out of AA or just struggling with their addiction for years or decades. And if they would have known about naltrexone and the Sinclair Method sooner, they could have fixed this problem and not been stuck with it for as long as they had been. I'm not saying that the Sinclair Method is the only treatment we should offer. I'm of the belief that any treatment that works is something that should be offered to people. If one person goes to AA and it doesn't work for them, there should be another treatment for them. If someone goes to AA and it's the best thing in the world and it totally frees them of the addiction, that's amazing. I think we should be presenting people with as many options as possible so that we can all get to the place which we all ultimately want to get to, which is freedom from the alcohol addiction. If you're suffering with an alcohol use disorder or alcohol addiction and you're not familiar with the Sinclair Method, I definitely encourage you to look into it. All my videos here are about it. You can also do more research. There's a link in my profile as well. This treatment protocol has been around for 3 decades at least, and it has over 100 clinical trials proving a success rate of about 78%, which is just incredible. However, unfortunately, most people still don't know that it exists, primarily because our current treatment system is really set up on an abstinence-only based model, meaning you have to quit drinking as the first step toward getting better. And with the Sinclair Method, you actually don't quit drinking. You actually continue to drink on the treatment, and it works to reverse the alcohol addiction inside of the brain. What I think is missing from most mainstream treatment centers is that they're not offering effective treatments that actually work to treat alcohol addiction at the root level, which is inside of the brain. They're just telling people to stop drinking, which on the outside, sure, they're sober, they must be doing well, but what they don't realize is what's going on inside of someone who has an alcohol addiction, which is this obsessive compulsive desire to drink that actually just intensifies the longer someone is abstinent. This is called the alcohol deprivation effect, also something that has been researched extensively as well. And so a lot of people are suffering with this overwhelming preoccupation and desire for a drink, again, because the brain has been changed and hijacked by the addiction, essentially. And so it causes many people to just relapse over and over and over again. And this is why it's estimated that 80% or more of people will relapse after leaving treatment within 6 months. I really believe we need to change our perspective on alcohol alcohol addiction and how we treat it, and start to offer in the mainstream treatment system more effective, science-based, medically based treatments that work to repair the brain and reverse alcohol use disorder. Again, you can learn more about this treatment with my other videos or the link in my profile. I'm a success story of this treatment after years and years of trying and failing to quit drinking and battling the addiction and relapsing over and over again, and just getting to a point where I felt like I'm never going to get this under control. And again, just looking for that rock bottom, looking for things to get worse, but who knows how bad things were going to get until I was finally able to quit drinking. Like I said, I would try over and over again, and I just couldn't do it until I went on the Sinclair Method, because it worked to fix my brain so that my desire and craving for alcohol was gradually eliminated over time. And it's really easy to not do something if you don't desire it.